Welcome to Leading for Life Stories Season 4. I'm Bob Judson. I'm the host for this podcast, and thank you very, very much indeed for joining me. Whether you're a new joiner or a seasoned listener, then I really hope you enjoy the mix of content that we provide. The personal stories, the thematic episodes, and of course, the fantastic guest interviews. If you've been with me since the beginning, then I'm enormously grateful for your loyalty and thank you so much. If you're relatively new to the show, then I really hope you like it and I hope you find all of it interesting and some of it hopefully useful to you. Please subscribe on whichever channel it is you're using, whether it's YouTube, whether it's a podcast platform. That really helps us boost the show and get it over the hills on the algorithms. So if you can do that for me, I would be enormously grateful. But without further ado, let's go. Welcome back, everybody. Well, Leading for Life Stories was 3 years old this week. And so I thought it was entirely appropriate that I pause the guest interviews that I've been running recently and just do a little bit of a personal recap on that, because pretty proud that I got to 3 years, if I'm honest. I didn't begin to think I'd achieve that, certainly not without a break. I've never missed a week. So every week for the past 3 years, there's been an episode that's come out, either a personal story, a thematic episode, or a guest interview. And I don't think that's a bad record, to be honest, for my little podcast. I'm not the Diary of a CEO, or I'm not The Rest is Politics, and I don't have millions of downloads a month. But the podcast's going to 136 countries. It's going to over 2,100 cities, looking at the stats I see on my podcast host site, and that doesn't include YouTube. And so actually, it's reaching a lot of people. And based on the feedback I get, it's touching a lot of people as well. And that's great. And if you're one of those and you're a regular listener and you've been on with me since the beginning, then I can't tell you how grateful I am for the support. It obviously wouldn't be a show at all if nobody listened to it and nobody was interested. When I started out doing this, I looked at what does success look like? And success essentially was not fading away, not being in a position where after a number of episodes, you started dropping in downloads and decreasing, and or not having repeated content, etc. So you weren't putting stuff out regularly. And I've done none of those. It's continued to grow. It's grown steadily. It's not grown out of all proportion in terms of downloads, and that's great. So far, I've done 46 personal stories, including this one today, not including the pre-launch trailer at the very beginning. This is episode number 158, which is, again, pretty good going, I think. We've done 36 themes, so different topics that I'm covering, most of which have some kind of leadership flavor, and 76 guests and counting, because I've got a number of guests already pre-recorded that are waiting to go out over the next few weeks, and a load more lined up that are in the kind of plan to record. So there's stuff ahead as well as stuff that's behind, and that's been really exciting. It's led me to be featured on a few other people's shows, which is great. I've really enjoyed that. I've enjoyed the opportunity to be on other people's podcasts as well as hosting my own. It's quite nice when you actually chat to and work with fellow podcasters and talk a little bit about what's successful and what's not, as well as actually what I do as a core offering around my speaking, my leadership development and coaching work. I try not to be too naked about advertising that. I mean, I do sometimes because I think it's important to be able to put out what I do. I built it, I suppose, when I first started the podcast as something of a brand building exercise. I mean, that's what I really wanted to do with it. I wanted to be in a position where it was feeling like I was getting my name out there and I was getting known for something. I haven't got any books. I haven't written a book yet. That's kind of on the stocks potentially, not least as a result of all the personal stories. And I'd love to do that at some point when I can find the time to actually sit down and do it. But because of that, I needed something that was going to get my name out there. And the podcast was an idea. And it was just an idea. I had no idea 3 years ago that it would grow in the way that it has done and that it would become such a feature of my life. It does take a fair bit of time. My wife beats me up pretty regularly about that and says it takes a lot of your time and where'd you get the work from, and and do you actually generate any money from it, and so on and so forth. And I'll come back to a couple of those things as well. But the bottom line is I love it. I learn a lot. I've had a little bit of work from it for sure directly. It's definitely helped build my brand. I think there's no question about that. It's helped build my brand a little bit. And I'm extremely grateful to those that have helped and contributed, particularly the guests that have been on, because I would never have expected that I'd have such a great and diverse cast list of guests. I'm not going to go through them all here, but it's been fantastic to see people from all sorts of different walks of life. Some who've had fantastic careers and really built amazing things over time. Some who are at the beginning of their careers and still very much on the journey upwards, and some who are somewhere obviously in the middle of that. And I will have to say, pretty much every time I learn something and I gain from it, and I hope that's true for you too. I hope you do find you're getting some genuine value, if you like, as well as just some interest from some of the stories that the people tell. Because it's always surprising. It's very rare that I do an interview with someone and I come away with something that is, it was just nothing that surprised me. And I'm normally, I enjoy conversations with people. I like being in that kind of world and having a chat to people. So that helps, I guess. But it is absolutely fascinating to get what I get from the guests on a regular basis, and that's why I do it. That's ultimately why I do it. But at the same time, I would love it to be even more successful. And looking ahead, if I'm looking 3 years behind me, what's ahead of me? I don't know yet. I don't know how long I'm going to keep doing it and be able to keep doing it. But as long as I keep enjoying it, as long as it keeps being rewarding in terms of personal satisfaction, if not financial, then actually it's worth me doing it. And so I'm absolutely up for that. I would love your help though with a few things to do this, particularly if you are a regular listener, and there's plenty of regular listeners out there I know. Then if you haven't already subscribed on your channel, please do. If you haven't subscribed and followed on YouTube, please do, because YouTube, even if you're not watching it regularly, please just go to my YouTube channel and be a subscriber to it, because that helps. Because particularly YouTube is a channel that actually can generate some monetization for the podcast in a way that other channels probably don't. And that would be really, really helpful. Currently, I've got a very low number of subscribers on YouTube. I would love that to be a much, much bigger number, and hopefully be in a position where the podcast is starting to become an actual feature of my financial portfolio, as opposed to just something I do for a bit of fun and a bit of brand building. Because everyone has to earn a living, right? And I'm certainly in that category. And times are not easy at the minute for a lot of people out there listening. A lot of people watching, I'm sure, are finding exactly the same thing. Bills are going up, rates aren't necessarily changing for the work you do, and that's making life challenging. So this financial thing does matter. And I've wanted to stay away, and have consistently stayed away from looking for advertisers on the podcast, looking for sponsors on the podcast. I'm dabbling a little bit in that space now, but I don't really want to go there, because I think the trouble is the podcasts I listen to that are not my own, that do have adverts and do have sponsors, some of the time that can be a significant distraction from the content, and I don't want that. I don't want that for me. I don't want that for you. I want to be in a position where you actually feel you're getting a show that is kind of advert free, as it were. And subscribers is the other way of doing it. You turn it into a subscription channel, but I'm equally conscious that probably a lot of people would never get to see it, hear it, and that's not helpful either. I want to broaden the access to the maximum possible number of people that I can get. So I'm trying very hard to avoid doing those kind of things. My Patreon site, which I always talk about on these podcasts, obviously where you can become a supporter, a champion, or a patron of the show. I mean, it's entirely free. It's entirely voluntary. You can watch it or listen to it for nothing. But if you are willing and able to support me, then that would be really, really helpful, because at the end of the day, it also helps it keep it going and keep justifying why I do it. Not least to my my dear wife, who does beat me up on a regular basis about it. So if you're up for that, I would be really, really grateful, because it matters to me that it's justifiable in terms of time. Ultimately, it has to be justifiable in terms of time. If it's not, then it starts to become increasingly difficult to do it. I would also be very, very grateful if you are a regular listener, particularly if when I post on LinkedIn or Facebook, and I do LinkedIn more than Facebook for sure, about my guests or about other episodes, please do comment on those. Please look for my posts. If you're not coming automatically into your feed, please go and have a look. And if you find stuff in there, comment on it, reshare it, repost it, make sure that we're maximizing the opportunity to get this message out to as many people as possible, because I think that will be a good thing to do in all sorts of ways. I think most of the episodes that go out have a decent number of leadership tips and ideas and experiences. And ultimately, leadership's all about that. And that's what I really try to do when I do my day-to-day work, whether I'm speaking on stage or whether I'm actually lecturing or speaking to facilitating a group of people in a classroom. Then ultimately what I want to do is share my own experience, give back some of my own experience, put out some of my ideas. And I always tend to say to groups, look, it's not about me teaching you to do this. It's about me giving you a bunch of stuff that you can take or leave. Some of it you'll love it, some of it you might not like it so much, but it's going to be tools that you can put in your toolbox that potentially will help you with what you do. And you might have some of those tools you don't use for months, even years, but hopefully some of the time you're going to find the opportunity to turn around and pick them up, and it'll give you more flexibility in the way you lead, in the way you develop your leadership style. It'll hopefully help you to do that. And I think that's hugely true with the guests as well. I try and extract some of those leadership ideas and tips from the guests, many of whom have had fantastic leadership journeys themselves and have a lot to share. And some of them are really, really willing to do that. So if you're picking up value from that, that's where I'm dragging you back to. Help me out a little bit as well, please. Do, even if it's not financially supporting, and as I say, that's entirely up to you whether you do that. If you can afford to do that, I would be really grateful. If you can't, don't worry about it. But at the same time, please do the stuff you can do that doesn't cost you anything. And liking the posts, resharing the posts, pushing some messages out, about it, getting more listeners, getting more downloads, making sure you do subscribe, particularly on YouTube, as I say, that would be hugely, hugely helpful, because it just means that there's a better chance of continuing to do this for another 3 years and maybe 3 years beyond that. And by that stage, it might be getting a bit old. So we'll see how we go. But I've loved it. I've really, really enjoyed it. As I say, I'm massively grateful to those of you that have supported me throughout. If you've been there since the beginning, then hats off just for having your patience to do that. And let me know what you think. But it's a big anniversary for the podcast. I'm really chuffed that we've made this point, and I'm very, very grateful for you listening. I'm not going to prolong this episode. I'm going to go away and raise a glass to my 3 years. And thanks ever so much. Really appreciate you listening. Be back next week with another great guest. Speak soon. Bye now.